Hello everyone, welcome back once again to your favorite channel, that is StudyIQ as English. My name is Praveen Mishra and we are going to discuss about the incidents that is happening, not yet concluded, but it's still happening inside the city of Murshidabad, that is the state of West Bengal, India, right? So what's the whole news about? Over 110 arrested in West Bengal's Murshidabad for violence over the WAQF Act. A week back, Parliament got the assent with regard to the new WAQF amendment, right? This has obviously created more of disturbances into the Indian society. Well, was that amendment needed or not? We are not going to discuss that, as it is once again a sensitive and debatable topic. So we shall discuss it in some other session. But for today, we are going to discuss about the violence hit Murshidabad. WAQF amendment, which has obviously degraded the autonomy of the WAQF board, which it was enjoying since last many of the decades. Once again, right now, Indian government has come into the limelight at the global stages with regard to its religious reforms. Once again, the word here which we must take is religious reforms, right? It's not simply targeting any individual community or a group of community or communities basically, but yes, it's towards the action of reforms, social reforms, educational reforms, health sector reforms, and yes, religious reforms. What we have witnessed into the 18th and 19th centuries of India, right? That social religious reforms movement were there. And because of those social religious economic reforms, society faced a number of roars and uproars. Some of them they favored, some of them they opposed it as well. So here's the very same fact. As of now in India, we are also having a socio-religious reforms movement going on, a socio-religious reforms movement 2.0, which at present could be seen by many of us as okay, it's not okay, right? It's okay, or maybe it's not okay as well. But it could be also into the long run that these reforms could provide a stable future for our upcoming generations. But yes, once again, it's not any sort of a judgment. It's just an analysis. Could be true, could be false, both at the same time, right? So when we go ahead with the news, right? Murshidabad, since the Amendment Act has passed, WAQF Amendment Act has passed, has faced too much of the violence. And recently, the initiatives or the actions, the affirmative actions by the police authorities have created now much of the turmoil inside the city, right? And now what the police have stated. So the police said the prohibitory orders have been passed, okay, and internet services, they have been suspended as well in the worst hit Murshidabad district, right? So what's the scenario? What the statement police authorities have to give? So they have simply stated that the prohibitory orders, they have been passed. And apart from that, yes, the first and the foremost thing that we have done is the suspension of the internet services throughout the whole region, throughout the whole district of Murshidabad, right? So here we go. The next thing, it's the time when the ministers, politicians, the national leaders, they should come, walk hand in hand and try to solve the issue, come forward with a proper solution, establish the peace, establish the tranquility, establish the harmony, and then go ahead with the facts that who is right and who is wrong. But here, we don't have such things. The moment violence took the cruel turn and police, they have started taking the affirmative action, it's on to formally, that is Twitter, presently it's X, where the ministers and the politicians, they have started posting. Well, it's not the time to criticize the government, the state government or the national whatsoever. It's the time where we need to act firmly to restore the peace and save the life and property of the people. But few people, they are of some other opinion. So as what we can see, the statement has come here. Let it be known that this was not an act of violence or an act of protest, basically. Rather, it's a premeditated act of violence and assault on democracy and governance by jihadist forces who seek to spread chaos in order to assert their dominance and sow fear amongst other communities of our society. So it was the tweet on X by the BJP leader Suvendu Adhikari, right? Point here is, this tweet is mentioning the word jihadist, what we shouldn't have been mentioning. Yes, the word jihad has been now too much defamed by not so good forces of this globe, what we call them as terrorists. But here, the violence that is being happening inside the region of Murshidabad, it's not it's not, coming through any medium of jihad or any medium of XYZ, those of things. It's just an act of protest. Yes, the protest took a violent turn, no doubt in that. But mentioning the word jihadist here will only provoke more and more of violence, will only create more and more gap, will widen the gap, already widened gap. It will be more and more widened again, okay, when I do post such type of things. Here, the state government, led by Mamata Banerjee, has also come into the question, as now the silence of the government is also very much disturbing. As what we can see here, the further tweet what was added. Public property was destroyed, government officials, they got threatened, and yes, an atmosphere of fear and intimidation was created. All under the false guise of dissent, and the silence of Mamata Banerjee and the whole government is deafening. What Mr. Mukherjee, Mr. Suvendu Adhikari actually has added into the post. Well, this is the freedom of speech and expression. But I think being a public figure, being a national figure, it's my responsibility, my prime responsibility, to firstly get the harmony restored, peace restored, and then I can go ahead with my political vendetta. Yes, I will have to go. That's my work in politics, no doubt in that. But I should be ethically responsible as well, right? So violence happening where? Inside the district of Murshidabad. Police have taken the cognizant action and the internet, they have been shut down as well. But this is alarming. As what we have the next thing here to be discussed. A 2024 report by digital rights group that is termed as Access Now, this is the name of the group, Access Now, revealed a record high number of global internet shutdowns, around 290 of them, okay, and India was on the second number. That is, Myanmar held the first rank, okay, with some 90 plus shutdowns, and it was followed by India with around 84 shutdowns only in the year 2024. In 12 months, in just 2024 we're talking about, in just 12 months, 84 times throughout of the country, internet services were shut down or they were suspended because of the reasons. Reasons could be the internal violence, the internal disturbances as well, some external aggression, and apart from that, the ongoing violent level of protest. Right? Okay, so these were the reasons that have been cited by the authorities, okay, when it comes to the internet shutdown, right, or the suspension of the internet services. So it's 84 times, okay, according to the report given by whom? Report given by the group Access Now. Okay, so if we go ahead with the further of the details, so it was 28% globally. Okay, global share of India was 28% of the overall shutdown. And the highest number of shutdown, it happened in Manipur. Obviously, we know it very well that Manipur is facing much of the violent issues, okay, since last couple of years. But yes, apart from that, the next particular state which faced most number of shutdowns, it was not any other state, but it was Haryana. Right? Okay, so if we go ahead with the whole thing here, so it was Manipur with 21 number of internet shutdowns, followed by Haryana and then Jammu and Kashmir. Right? In total, 16 states, including UTs, they have experienced internet shutdown in just the year 2024. Right? That means internally things are not going good. And we need to act. We need to act now. Let's join hands. Right? Let's create an India that is free from any kind of such disturbances. And let's these separatist policies, the separatist mindsets, let's literally not allowing them to establish in India. Okay, so when we go ahead with the main reasons that have been cited as well by the report, okay, in India were primarily linked to the protests, And out of 84, 41 of the times, the internet has been shut down for the sake of protests. Then communal violence, 23 times. And yes, examination related security issues, okay, it was nearly 5 times, right? So for the sake of protest, it was 41, communal violence 23, and examination related or security related issues, it was 5 times, right? So 84 times in total. 2024, Manipur, followed by Haryana second stage, and third level it was, the third rank it was by Kashmir, right? Okay, so this is what Access Now's report is. Next, the judicial precedents. Do we have any case related to it? So yes, we have got the Supreme Court of India in the case of Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India. Guys, please make it clear. Okay, case related to the internet shutdowns in India. Okay, that is basically targeting towards Article 19 and 21 of the Constitution, right? Article 19, the 6 fundamental freedoms, in which Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause A, specifically deals with the freedom of speech and expression, and the internet connectivity is part of my freedom of speech and expression. Second, that is Article 21, right to life and personal liberty, and access to freedom, access to actually internet is once again part of my personal liberty, right? So in that very same way, Supreme Court in the year, okay, 2019, that is in Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India, 2020 actually, not 19, okay, ruled that indefinite internet shutdowns are unconstitutional, and such curbs should meet the tests of necessity and proportionality. So basically, the case that you need to remember, Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India, 2020, in which Supreme Court clearly ruled, that is what? The continuous shutdowns, they are unconstitutional, first of all. And secondly, whenever the shutdown is happening, wherever the internet connectivity is being suspended, it is the duty of the authorities, that is the government, okay, to justify the rationality, the need, that is the necessity, as well as the proportionality of such shutdowns. Okay, so this is what Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India case 2020, right? So still, as you can see the next line, however, still after the case of Anuradha Bhasin, many shutdown orders, they lack proper documentation as well as justification. Still 5 years after the Anuradha Bhasin case, right? Many of the shutdowns, they have happened which do not even had the proper justifications, neither the proper documents. That is, no legit reasons, no legal reasons, okay, were there by the government side to represent the shutdown, the activity of internet shutdown. Okay, so still the reasons, the concerns are existing. Okay, so presently when it comes to the area of Murshidabad and over the police's action of shutting the internet is something that is justified. Yes, this time in Murshidabad, if the internet connectivity is down or literally suspended, okay, then it is justified. No doubt in that. But yes, once again, as an authority, as a government official, okay, as a person, as an individual officer, it's my prime responsibility to provide the legal reasons on papers, that is overwritten thing, okay, in the written format, that is basically to the government, that these are the reasons for which in my area I have suspended the internet connectivity. Reference once again, Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India case 2020, right? So this brings us to a very interesting discussion as well. What you can see on your back is the website of Amnesty International, right? So their website, which is focusing right now on our beautiful country, that is India. So what Amnesty International report on India has to say, just the fresh report, that is the last report. Okay, so as we can see, here are some reports, okay, some images of the reports. So India 2023, the thing that is to be highlighted here, okay, the most important thing. So as we can go ahead, okay, with regard to just this particular news, okay, so punitive demolitions of largely Muslim properties, including homes, businesses, and places of worships, resulting in mass forced evictions after episodes of communal violence were commonplace and went unpunished. And yes, the very next thing, India continued to impose arbitrary and blanket internet restrictions, including internet shutdowns. This is the report given by whom? It is the report given by Amnesty International. It's their front page when you go ahead and search the country of India there, right? So, this is the report given by whom? Simply Amnesty International, right? So this is what the world is observing when it comes to us, that is India. Okay, so specifically they have mentioned what? Internet shutdowns. And yes, 28% of the global internet shutdowns, 84 of them that is, have been performed in India alone. So freedom of expression, association and assembly, the next one that comes into the picture. Okay, so here what the Amnesty International report has highlighted. Let's see that. Here we go. On 21 December, the Indian Parliament passed the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita. That is basically a bill which seeks to reintroduce the sedition law that had been arbitrary, used to suppress government critiques, and increase the possible punishment for sedition from 7 years to life imprisonment. This is what, once again, the Supreme Court had temporarily suspended the sedition law in the year 2022 itself, right? And once again, which we have already discussed in our podcast when it comes to the satire versus the state. If you haven't watched it, so I just request you guys to go to our podcast segment of our channel of StudyIQ English and please do watch it. Okay, that is where we have discussed about the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines Ethics Code. Okay, ethics rules of 2023. Okay, so these are what with regard to the FCU, fact checked unit. The fact check unit which was about to be established by the government itself, but it was challenged into the Bombay High Court by petitioner Kunal Kamra, along with some other organizations like the Magazine Guild of India, okay, Broadcasters Associations of India, okay, and the fact check unit of the government through the Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code rules of 2023 was declared unconstitutional. So all of these things, they are mentioned where? They are mentioned on the website of Amnesty International. Not just website. It is the report as well. A report of an international organization that is watched, read, analyzed by the whole globe, and then they give judgment on our image, that is India's image. Right? So what we can see, the human rights defenders, as what we can have here. Okay. So the further report, what it has stated, the authorities weaponized the central financial and investigating agencies to crack down on civil society organizations and human rights defenders using tax, money laundering, foreign contribution, and anti-terror laws. This is once again reported by whom? This is reported by the Amnesty International, and they were focusing the recent issue that has happened with BBC India. Okay, so BBC India, it was, kept with a tussle, kept on a note of a tussle with the government, okay, when they had a documentary portraying our Prime Minister. Okay, and the portrayal was something which was not applauded neither by the government and not by majority of the Indians as well. And because of which, BBC was now kept in question of, are you guys not against India? Are you guys someone that is anti-Indian, anti-Indian policies are you guys performing? Okay, so an attack happened, okay, at BBC's office. And now they were also subject to FCRA rules. FCRA as in foreign contribution. Okay, so as you can see, the word FCRA has been mentioned here as well. Right? So using the FCRA, okay, BBC offices were raided and they were also fined heavily. Right? And what was the mistake? Mistake was portraying, okay, Indian Prime Minister in their documentary. The portrayal, obviously, I will also say, was not very good enough. The portrayal was also very negative, okay, but the fact here is the way BBC was dealt Amnesty has represented it as not so good act, and because of which they have downgraded India's point when it comes to the global surveys, right? So these global surveys, they become, one of the points of images. One of the point means, like, simply you call it as the point of image of every country. Okay, and here, because of these particular events, including the internet shutdowns and continuous violence over the streets in the name of protest, also disturbs the nation's image at the global forums. And this is what has happened. Okay, so guys, what's your opinion over the Murshidabad incidents? What's your opinion over the Amendment Act over the Waqf Board? And what's your opinion over the Amnesty International report, what we have discussed? This is just a part of the report we have discussed. If you want to read the full report, okay, you can connect with me over my Telegram or Instagram. There I can share the reports with you. Okay, so over Instagram, it is the username Praveen Mishra underscores 2107. And over Telegram, it will be the channel name, that is study underscore with underscore Praveen. Right, guys? So please do subscribe our Study IQ IS English channel as well. Okay, and stay updated with all the fresh updates of the channel. So guys, this is me, Praveen Mishra, signing off for the day. I hope the whole topic is clear. And what's your opinion over the Waqf Amendment, over the Amnesty International issue, and over the internet shutdown in India? Okay, please do let me know into the comment section. Okay, guys, bye bye. See you soon in the next video. Take care, study well. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.